Good evening, this is Susan, and this is Susan's Ramblings. Before we start, I'm going to give you a minute. Hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. This is going to be the end of our candy recipes for Christmas, and there are a bunch of them. I make a lot of candy, I give it away, so I don't have that much here. I do save some for Christmas Eve, some of the special family recipes, but otherwise it's all given away. This one is Saltiness Taffy. I've made this for many years. Very, very simple. You use saltine crackers, brown sugar, butter, chocolate chips, and nuts if you want. And you line your cookie sheet with saltine crackers. There's 35 of them. And you put them in a roll on a parchment-lined pan. Make sure it's parchment-lined, or otherwise you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get it off. Okay? You melt your butter and your brown sugar. And when the mixture is really, really blended, then you put it to boil. Boil for 3 minutes without stirring it. Then you spread your butter and sugar mixture over the saltines. And you bake at 350 degrees for 5 minutes. You remove it from the oven and you sprinkle it with chocolate chips. You allow it to stand, and then you, a few minutes so the chocolate chip melt, and then you spread the chocolate chips evenly over the crackers and sprinkle with nuts if you desire. Allow it to cool and then break into pieces, and you store it in the refrigerator. It is a very, very good recipe. I make it a lot of times when we have bake sales, and it sells out every time, really fast. The next one, this is a big favorite of our families. In fact, I made them today. My daughter specifically asked me if I was going to make them, and yes, they are made. She's down with COVID right now, and so anything I can give her and make her to help her get over this disease, I definitely will. Bonbon. This is a recipe that is over 50 years old again. I've made it ever since the children were small. It's been over 50 years. So you can use your coconut, your sweetened condensed milk, not your evaporated milk, and don't say 1 cup. I used it all. 8 ounces of flaked fluid, and flaked coconut, and I believe my thing was 14 ounces. And then I just poured in some powdered sugar until it worked. And I combine those all together, and I make balls. I place the balls on a cookie sheet, and I put the balls in a freezer for a little while. Then in the meantime, I melt my chocolate chips and my paraffin wax, and the paraffin wax gives it a shine. The chocolate chips a shine. I melt that, and then I dip the frozen balls into the chocolate using a fork. And place the dip bonbons on a wax paper and allow to cool. That's all there is to it. It's very, very simple. So I find some recipes that ask for butter and so forth, but this is the recipe we've used for 50 years. I believe my sister found it for us, and that's the one we like. Next one, Oreo Balls. This one isn't a old recipe, but it's a recipe we like. And you take Oreo cookies, cream cheese, and vanilla, and that's all you need for them. Almond bark later on, but you crush your basic Oreos in a food process and balls until they're very fine crumbs, and then you put the cream cheese and the vanilla beat the cream cheese and vanilla until it's smooth, and then you add the Oreo crumbs to it, and you mix well, and you scoop out your Oreos mixture by tablespoons full and put it on a cookie sheet, and then again you put it in the freezer for 10, 15, 20 minutes to let it freeze. Then you take your almond bark, you melt your almond bark, and you dip your balls into the almond bark. Let them cool, and you store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator. They never last long enough for me to put them in the refrigerator. They are gone right away. Next one, crunchy peanut butter rolls. Ball. This is a recipe that peanut butter balls, we like it crunchy. So we add Rice Krispies to it. This is from the Southern Lady recipes. So we use 2 cups of peanut butter, 1 stick of butter, 1 cup of 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2 cups of Rice Krispies, 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 2 tablespoons of shortening. The shortening is optional. When we're talking about shortening like that, we're talking about something like Crisco or vegetable shortening, and that will just add shine to your chocolate chips so they look nicer. Okay, you melt your peanut butter and your butter together over low heat or in the microwave. You mix powdered sugar and Rice Krispies with them, and add the peanut butter mixture with the Rice Krispies. You form them in the balls about 1 inch in size and place on a parchment lined cookie sheet, or use wax paper, whatever you use. Chill in the refrigerator for over an hour. Melt your chocolate chips and your shortening together, stirring constantly. Dip your peanut butter balls in the chocolate and put back on the coffee sheet until firm. Again, it's a very simple, good recipe. I will use, it says chocolate chips here. A lot of times I will use almond bulk, either the white or chocolate, never mind. Peanut butter and cheese fudge. This is a recipe I came up with because I have had so much processed cheese, and I had a lot of peanut butter. We have what's called a senior box that's given to us every month, and you have an instant income guided, and you get this box every month, and it always has peanut butter in, and it always has 2 pounds of cheese, and I was getting swamped with cheese and peanut butter. And yes, I'd given cheese to my family, I'd frozen it, I'd used up all I can, but I'm sorry, I don't use up 2 pounds of cheese in a month. And so it was just building up and up and up. Peanut butter is the same way. Yes, I open a jar of peanut butter, but I don't go through a jar of peanut butter in a year, in a week, in a month. So sometimes, sometimes several months. Anyway, I had lots and lots of peanut butter and lots of cheese left. So I thought, so I put a couple recipes together here. I used a pound of processed cheese and a pound of butter. Yes, it's a very rich one. And I melted those cheese and the butter over a very, very low heat, and I stirred frequently. And I stirred until both the butter and the cheese were melted and well blended. Then I removed it from the heat, and I stirred in the peanut butter, mixing until the peanut butter is melted and well blended with the butter and the cheese. Then I added the powdered sugar, and you end up kneading with your hands until it's well blended. You spread in a jelly roll pan, cool, and cut into small squares. And then this is a very, very rich candy, so small squares are desired. We don't eat big squares. I don't know how you can eat big squares of it. But anyway, it's a recipe that I came up with, and it works. And it's one of our favorites. Okay? Next one. Cracker candy. This is on the same basis as the saltine crackers, except you use graham crackers here. Half a pound to a pound of butter, chocolate chips, half a bag sweet, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and you do the same thing. Line your sheet with graham crackers. You melt your butter and chocolate chips, add sugar, and you pour over your crackers, and you refrigerate 1 hour. It kind of skips some of the other steps that we had with the first one with the saltine crackers, but it's still just as good. Okay? Oops, that's not supposed to be in there at all. That's coming up. We'll just take that one out for now. We'll see what else we come up with. Popcorn balls. This is an old recipe also. I've been making since my children were small. And yes, I can make the popcorn balls the old way, but I sure prefer this way because it's a lot faster and it's a lot quicker and a lot less mess. I have 1 stick of butter, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 package of marshmallows, 6 quart of popcorn, and 1 package of Jell-O. It's optional. You melt your butter over your medium-low heat. Add your sugar and your marshmallows. Melt until it's smooth. Pour your marshmallow mixture over the popcorn. Butter your hands and roll in the balls. Note, add Jell-O to the marshmallow mixture if you desire. We like the strawberry Jell-O, and it will add an additional flavor to the popcorn balls. We really like the Jell-O in it. Sweet treat popcorn. It's another popcorn. 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of honey, 3 quarts of popcorn, and 1 cup chopped nuts, which are optional. You combine the butter and the honey in a small saucepan. Stir until the butter is melted and the honey is well blended with the butter. Pour over the popcorn and nuts if you desire. Spread the popcorn ball over a buttered rimmed cookie sheet in a thin layer and bake at 350 degrees for 10 or 15 minutes until it's crisp. Remove from the oven, allow to cool completely before breaking into crumbs. And be very, very careful when you remove it from the oven because it is very, very hot. Okay, so make sure you don't touch it. Make sure you're very, very careful when you do it. Next one. Baked caramel corn. This is also a favorite of our family, and I've been making it for not 50 years, but a long, long time. At least 30 years. Yeah, at least 30 years. It's one of my granddaughter's favorites, and so we make it quite frequently, especially since she lives in Florida and we send it down to her. Baked caramel corn, 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of firmly packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup of white corn syrup, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 6 quarts of popcorn. You melt the butter in a heavy, large saucepan, stir in your brown sugar and your syrup. You bring to boil, stirring constantly. Then you boil it for 5 minutes without stirring at all. Remove from heat, add the vanilla and the baking soda. And be careful because when you add the baking soda, it's going to foam up and turn a lighter thing. Pour over your popcorn, mixing it well. Bake at 250 degrees for 45 minutes, stirring every 15 minutes. You remove from the oven and allow to cool. I used a large roaster to make this, or 2 large rimmed cookie sheets. Fudge, I think this is my last one. This is another recipe that's almost over 50 years old, and I've been making it for 50 years. My sister found the recipe for us, and I don't remember what it's called. It was called something else. We just call it fudge. 4 cups of white sugar, 1 cup of butter, 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 jar of marshmallow cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 18 ounces of chocolate chips. Your chopped nuts are optional. You combine sugar, butter, and evaporated milk in a large saucepan. Bring to a boil, stirring constantly. You boil for 6 minutes without stirring. Remove from heat, stirring your chocolate chips, your vanilla, and your marshmallow cream. You beat until it's all smooth. Pour into a buttered 9 by 13 inch pan. Let it cool and cut into squares. Or that's the end of my candy recipes for this year. I would say that's quite a few, right? Remember, I give these away, and yes, it's expensive, but it's a well-received gift. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.